The program that we're talking about is a CalHFA program, which is going to be released later this month. In about 2 to 3 weeks, I believe it's March 27th is the date that it's going to go live. And so we are a preferred lender with the state of California. We've been doing these programs for many years, and the program's actually been in place as far as the assistance through CalHFA since 1975. So a lot of people don't know that the state actually offers down payment assistance programs. And throughout the years, there's been many versions of it. Right? I don't know if you guys have heard of the CHDAP program. This is something that was, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 years ago. And they've had different names. And so right now the state has the My Home program. They have the ZIP program. The My Home program can go towards helping offset the out-of-pocket, the ZIP program as well. And so the one that is coming out in a couple of days, couple weeks, is an assistance program that can provide up to 20% towards the down payment. Last year, they released one that provided 10%. So obviously, this is a significant change. It's a significant difference between the programs that are being provided now, which are 3%, 3.5% assistance. And the biggest difference between this program and, let's say, last year's 10% program is the fact that last year, the income limit for the program was 80% of the area median income. And so in our area, that's about 60,000, 65,000. And if you're purchasing something in Rancho, you can't afford a home if you're making 60,000. You're just not qualifying. So most clients had to go to rural areas, or they had to go to the high desert, or to Kern County, or to Bakersfield. The difference on this 20% is that the income limits are based off of the amount that the state currently has, which is about $173,000 for someone in San Bernardino County. In these counties, obviously, let's say Orange County, for example, is a lot higher income. San Francisco is higher income, and this program can be used all over the state. The only thing I would say is the funds from last year were depleted in about 6 months, and that was 10%. This program's double the amount. There's a lot of people that didn't qualify last time because of the income limits, a lot of people that didn't qualify last time because the funds ran out, and now 20% is being provided. So if someone's on the fence wanting to, consider their first purchase and they don't have the down payment and they meet the requirements, it's definitely taking advantage of that 20% that the state will be offering in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Thank you so much. That was super helpful for myself. I think Victor's frozen, but the other question that I have is, I guess, do you happen to know what the qualifications for credit look like for this?
Yeah, so this is a conventional program. So the state of California offers FHA, conventional, USDA, and VA currently, meaning you can get assistance on any of those 4 type of loans. Now, this 20% program will only be offered on conventional financing, which will require a 680 credit score. Now, for the other programs that are that I mentioned earlier, the minimum credit score requirement is a 640. So someone who has a 640 currently, they can apply for those programs. Someone wants this 20% program, they're going to require a 680 credit score.
Thank you for that. Mr. Sumlin, you're also muted.
Thank you. What type of residences can this be applied to?
So the state of California is, their number one goal is to provide home ownership, right? So it's a matter of not providing these funds for someone who's looking to build a real estate portfolio. That's not what this is geared for. If you guys want to talk about that, I have other programs for repeat buyers, current homeowners, and multi-family that I can still get them help. But if you're looking at this specific program with the state, single family, condo, PUD, it can have an ADU, but it needs to be a standalone single unit. that's the type of properties that the state is looking for. Because again, what they want is people to become homeowners. They realize how expensive California is. One of the things that's funny to me growing up in California almost my entire life is when the news does an announcement on gas prices, and they'll say, hey, national average gas prices are $2.65. And I'm like in my 20s pumping gas and it's like $5 a gallon. Like, wait, I want to live where they live.
Right.
But then the difference is California is the third or fifth largest economy in the world. It's expensive, right? It's an expensive place. Incomes tend to be a lot higher. So someone who'll say, hey, I'll go to Texas because houses are cheaper, but yes, your earnings are also less. And so the state wants to make sure that they help homeowners that are responsible, that have a job, that have good credit, that the debt to income ratio is relatively low. These are well qualified candidates that just don't have the down payment. And so when someone sells the house, the state says, hey, we lent you the money, give us our money back. We're going to help another family. That's how the program is being replenished, by just people, if you sell the house, give us the money back. You refinance the house, give us the money back. You've already built equity into it. But they're not looking to make money off of you. They're looking to invest in you so that that continues to develop communities.
Right. And I think we kind of bring me into my next question here is, what are the terms of paying back that loan? I guess to you as a preferred lender, and as well to the County of Los Angeles.
Yeah, so the program can be offered statewide, right? So we've used this program, meaning CalHFA, not the 20%, all over the state. So clients are all the way from San Diego, upwards of San Francisco. So it could be used anywhere in the state. Now, the payback are those three triggers, right? So at the end of 30 years, you sell the property, you refinance the property. Now, part of what the state is trying to determine is certain specifics on this program within the next 3 weeks. Normally, the state will not allow you to refinance unless that money is paid back. But they are looking at allowing someone to refinance one time and then for them to continue to resubordinate the 20%. Years ago, they would allow resubordination. So you owe 20,000, you don't have to pay back the 20,000 as long as you're refinancing. Then they force placed paybacks. On this program, they haven't figured that out yet. They don't know if they're going to allow you that refinance opportunity. Now, the 20% is paid back when you sell the house. The key difference here between any of the programs that the state has currently is that there is a 20% equity share component. So if you make $100,000 in profit, obviously on let's say your property, then that's $20,000 that it's costing you when you sell the home. So I had a conversation with the client that kind of wanted some explanation behind that. And I said, well, technically you buy a house with zero out of pocket. You can use the 20% for down payment and closing costs. Figure you sell the house in 5 years and you make 100,000. Well, you're paying 20,000 back, right? So you're paying the amount you borrowed. It's not like it's just taken off the top. And then here's 20,000 for the amount that I received. You keep your 80,000, you move on to your next home. And that's the way that the program is working, where they are going to have an equity share component. Now, one thing that could potentially trigger having to pay that money back is if people start making payments on that assistance portion. So last Friday, Leanne Walker came out from Sacramento, spoke to us here in Rancho, and she said, we're not recommending people make payments on this, right? There is no payment on it. And if they start making payments on it, they could potentially trigger that equity share component. So recommendation again is you have no payments, don't make payments. And when you sell the house, when you refinance the house at that point, then obviously, the money will be paid back.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. And you did say that 20% can be applied to down payment and closing costs.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so down payment and closing costs, it can also be combined with seller credits.
I have a
So,
question. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I have a question.
sure.
I don't know if this was already answered previously or if I missed it, but I'm doing a lot of work with like the HUD program, HUD homes and things like that. Trying to work with clients, obviously, who are, on the brink of foreclosure and things like that, but also, to the other side of it, the buyer, making sure that they can get into a home that's significantly less. And I just wanted to know if using HUD or being a part of HUD would not qualify or not allow someone to use this program.
As far as I know, no.
Oh, I
That's
love that.
not something that's, so for example, currently, all CalHFA programs I actually just got a contract accepted. We're using, obviously, CalHFA program for the buyers, and it's a HUD home.
I love that.
So there hasn't been that limitation ever on, purchasing HUD properties, foreclosed properties, short sales. It's, for sale by owner, for example. There hasn't been a limitation specific to that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mhm.
I do have a question. I guess this would probably be, applies to both buyer, but agent side as well. I know I am working with a couple of clients using the low and moderate income program, which is similar to this one, except that you don't have to come out of pocket you don't have to use the 1% of your own money, right? For a down payment. Now with that moderate income program, there is a mandatory like escrow period, as well as I think it's just your typical inspections you need to get done and checked off. Are you aware of the escrow period for this program as well?
Yeah, so I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions, um, and it's unfortunate, right?
Mhm.
Because it has to do with like a negative previous experience. And a lot of times it's working with lenders that just don't do these programs, or they don't do these programs often, or they're a broker, for example. I obviously have a lot of friends in the industry, they work locally, and they'll ask me like, why do you close these so fast? I'm like, well, we're set up that way, right? So we're set up in a way to be able to confidently tell our agents that we can close this in less than 30 days. Now, 30 days to me is a long time because normally we're ready in about 10 to 15 days. And that's, from start to finish. We have our own internal panel of appraisers where appraisals are returned within 24 to 48 hours. Our underwriting turn times are relatively short, so you're looking at 24 to 72 hours in underwriting. And we are not saying, hey, we get the loan approved, then we got to send it to the state for another approval, then to go back to my underwriter. We have delegated underwriting authority. And so a close of escrow, when I tell my agents it's 30 days or less, especially in this market, we don't need to put a 21-day escrow. That's just not what we're in right now in most areas. So why put undue pressure on the client if it's not required? But if you get into competition and it's a hot property, sure, by all means, put a 21-day escrow, put shorter time frames, lower contingencies to 7 and 10. But the difference is if you're working with the city program, if you're working with the county program, which we are approved with, so for example, LA County or Riverside County, they will require the escrow timeframes to be 60 to 90 days. That's how long it will take to close those type of transactions. But when we're doing a state program or a federal program or a private program, we don't need that long. That's why agents don't want to take the offer. I'll call agents. I closed one last month, talked to an agent. She says, my husband's a lender. He says, you can't do this. I said, okay, well, put per diems on the file. Ask to release the deposit. I can guarantee we'll close this in a shorter period of time. We were ready in 10 days. So it's because of how we're set up versus maybe how a broker might be set up or someone who just doesn't do this on a regular basis.
Thank you for that, George.
Mhm.